What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous Georgian Goes checking in here. Going to talk to Izzy Martinez about RAF, Real American Freestyle Wrestling. He's one of the founders, and RAF has a card coming up at the end of the month, February 28th, in Tempe, Arizona, with a headline bout of Henry Cejudo and Uriah Faber. Holy cow, Izzy, you guys are coming strong with the main events, man. This is a good one.
You know, when we were thinking about Arizona, one of the triple C, who can not put, Olympic champ, UFC champion, back on the wrestling match. So it was a no-brainer to get Henry and bring him down there. I mean, I know you guys want to talk about the card, so I don't want to go too far ahead of myself here, but yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer with Henry, obviously.
The fact that you're not really sparing no expense, like you're bringing legit NCAA champs, Olympic champs, big MMA guys, who used to partake in wrestling. You're bringing them in there. You got some older cats, some younger cats. Like it's quite a splash you guys have made since the second half of last year. Already 5 shows in the books. The next one's coming up, but I mean, you got everyone's attention here, man.
I got the right partners, Hulk Hogan, when we kicked this thing off, was, the vision was set, the standard was set on how to put on a show, what athletes are we looking for to put on a show, and what it's really going to take wrestling and make wrestling mainstream. And a lot of that, kudos to my partner, Chad Bronstein. I mean, Chad, this guy is super intelligent. He's the one helping me with these matchmakings. I mean, he's the one calling me, Izzy, what about this fighter? What about this? Like this guy's got a good brand. He's a good guy. So we just have an unbelievable team of people helping us get the best wrestlers and fighters together to promote the greatest sport in the world, wrestling.
Mm-hmm. And check it out. We had Uriah Faber on the other day, and he says, hey, I almost feel like this is my chance to wrestle for a gold medal. Yeah, I like the way he's thinking. He's getting really pumped up for this. What do you think? We got a guy that succeeded on the collegiate level, and he was totally respectful towards Henry. Obviously, he knows what Henry's accomplished, but that's the way he's looking at it, man. Like, this is his chance to win a gold.
We at Real American Freestyle like to say this. You want to be a world champion. You want to be an Olympic champion, and you want to be an RAF champion, baby. You want those 3 things. If you're the baddest wrestler in the world, then you want to win the Olympics, you want to win the Worlds, and you want to be the RAF champion. So it's a great atmosphere and show for the legends, the guys like Uriah Faber, that probably a better wrestler, not now because he's a little bit older, but he's probably better technically than he's ever been in his life. So he probably feels like he's going to go out there and get his gold medal, and he might, like if Henry's off in Abu Dhabi, Henry's being Henry, Uriah Faber ain't no punk. So, I'm glad that Uriah feels that way, because that's what we want. That's what me and my partner, Eric Bronstein and Eric Bischoff, guys, partnering with him. This guy is unbelievable. His mind for TV, so that's what we wanted. We wanted these guys to feel like it's a gold medal match for them.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so co-main event. Check this out, folks. I told you, they're not playing around over at RAF. Arman Tsarukyan against Giorgio Poulos. Holy cow. For those that don't know, Giorgio Poulos successful on the NCAA level, but lately he's been doing the rounds. If I'm not mistaken, Izzy, you can check me if I'm wrong. That's the guy that holds up the sign, take me down and I'll give you $1,000, right?
That's him. That's the internet sensation. We like to say we're bringing anyone that loves wrestling together to come compete. And obviously, Arman is top #1 contender in the UFC, has probably the biggest draw in the Middle East out there. He is millions of fans. He wants to compete. He wants to wrestle. He wants his gold medal, just like Uriah Faber. And you know what? My man is on the other end, my man's almost done proving that he can't be taken down. He's coming against the UFC #1 contender, putting it all on the line. I mean, you kudos off to him. You don't have to do that, Giorgio. You don't have to put your name on the line. Nobody can take him down. Nobody's taking him down. Arman Tsarukyan text Lance Palmer, 4-time All-American. Dude, what a hell of a co-main event.
Could you take him down, Izzy, for $1,000? You still got it?
I would say this. I respect him, and he now. I'm going to root for him to not get taken down this weekend, February 28th in Arizona. You know, I've hung up my shoes, but I'd love to roll around with him. He's a talented guy. He's got a lot of power, and I'm not that old.
RAF 6 goes down on February 26th in Tempe, Arizona. Fox Nation has you covered for those of you that want to watch the event. And it's at the Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona. Goes. What do you have for Izzy Martinez?
Izzy, so you just brought something up that I wanted to talk about. You said you hung up the shoes. And when I saw this product, the first thing that came in my head were like a couple people that had this been around maybe a couple of years ago, they might have still been able to do this. Is there a name that stands out for you? Somebody that maybe just hung up the shoes that this didn't come around in time for, but you would have loved to? Like one that sticks out for me is maybe like a King Mo Lawal. I think would have been great at something like this.
Yeah, you know, the legendary stories of King Mo competing in Iran and, you know, howling in the stands. And it was you know, just being the guy that he was, the electric guy that drew all that attention. I mean, you never know, you never know who can be, real back. We got Steve Mocco back, but a guy like John Reeder, certain guys that were really badass were at wrong weight classes, right? And then just old school legends. We got Steve Mocco back, and that was pretty damn cool. We got Luke Rockhill, Kobe Covington. We got these guys kind of that are now doing it, but they're coming back for wrestling. But as far as some guys that aren't wrestling anymore, man, I'd love to see Chris Bono. I'd love to see Mike Poeta. I would love to see, Brian Morningstar. I'd love to see a lot of these top college coaches go at it.
When George and I started our show, so this April, we're going to be going on 19 years. When we first started, we would talk about a card and we would say, all right, everybody, see you. We'll talk about the next one in a month or something. And as years have gone by, it's like, there's BKFC now. There's, even Zuffa boxing. There's all kinds of different things, the grappling events. And then you have your PFLs and Bellator and all that stuff, right? So for a new fan, what would you say is like your hook, or what is it that you think you could tell them to say, give us a shot. We want a little bit of your time and we know we can keep you. What's like the hook for you guys?
Well, I think ultimately the Eric Bischoff and our production team does a phenomenal job. It's keeping your attention, explaining, our announcers are explaining the sport to you. Our matchup teams putting together some of the greatest matchups in wrestling. Normally, you'd see these type of matchups once a year in the UFC. Normally, you'd see the wrestling matchups that we're putting with pure wrestlers at the World Championships once a year, at the Olympic Championships every 4 years. We're doing these type of matches every month, and that we're putting on the biggest stars in the mat, and we have a big show behind it, and it's the greatest sport in the world, the oldest sport in the world, wrestling.
Do you have a dream match that includes maybe some people from our world, from the MMA world, that you would like to come over and see compete that you think could be possible?
A lot. Obviously, my relationship with Jon Jones and being able to train him for so many years, it's a no-brainer to want to see the greatest MMA combat athlete of all time come into RAF and wrestle. But that's not my dream match. I'm used to Jon. I'm used to seeing him compete, and I was fortunate enough to win a bunch of world titles in his corner, screaming for him. So I'd like to see Khabib wrestle. I'd like to see Khabib come out of retirement, put on his wrestling shoes against a decent opponent, and he's just one of them. He's just one of the guys that I would think in the UFC world, Matt Hughes, George St. Pierre. I mean, those big names that just Anthony Pettis, Donald Cerrone. Let's put those two guys together.
We've seen some females on some of your cards. Will that be expanded? There's some names like Sarah McMahon, Misha Tate, Tatiana Suarez, Lupe Godiz that have this decorated wrestling background that I feel like would be fun to see. Are we going to see more females on the cards?
That's a great question. I was just in Croatia, and my Haley Agello works for me. She's a 2016 Olympian. She's an unbelievable coach, and now we've brought her on at RAF, and she's spreading her wings into like the women's division of recruitment and just getting more women. She was in Croatia cornering down all the best athletes. We are building the 120-pound division. We're currently, our champion is Olympic champion Sarah Hildebrandt. Our 130-pound weight class our champion is, Helen Maroulis, and 150-pound weight class where our champion is Kennedy Blades, Olympic silver. So we're building depth in those 3 weight classes, and we're excited to bring in 140 this year and in 2026, 140-pound weight class will be in. We have some big news coming up. I don't want to break it here, but remember, I am friends with Michelle Watterson. I am friends with some of the top women MMA athletes in the world. And, phone calls are out there. The phone calls are out there, and we're excited to put some big matches together. I don't know if you guys have seen, but in Tampa, March 28th, to get off the Arizona card, Milena Dodova, the UFC fighter, is wrestling Kennedy Blades. So I don't know if you guys noticed that yet, not to get off Arizona, but Kennedy Blades, UFC fighter, it sounds like it's going to go again in April, so keep your ears open.
Hey, Izzy, so when I've had to describe this to some of my friends, the word that I use a lot is cool. It's just cool. I don't know how to describe it. I wasn't the hugest fan of wrestling, but I enjoyed watching it. But your show has this kind of just magical touch to it that makes it really exciting and fun. So my question for you is, at what moment in these cards can you pinpoint the one moment where you said, you know what, we got something here. This has got it.
You're so worked up and you're so stressed out. You're working your butt off. You're doing all these things. You never really know, and that's a great question. We didn't know until I think it was the middle of Cleveland. My partner, Chad Bronstein. Chad is this guy's unbelievable. And he deserves so much damn credit for bringing this RAF to the front first. He was the guy that inspired me to jump on. We were sitting there and he looked at me and I said, wow, look at these kids. Look at these kids. Hundreds of kids going crazy in the stands. Moms, dads cheering on their favorite wrestlers. And the dream's alive. We have a pro sports league for wrestling. And it was a dream, So I guess that's how the middle of Cleveland, we looked around. Holy shit, this is unbelievable. We got it. And then right from there, as you guys know me, it's all balls to the wall now. Foot gas, we move fast, and we ain't playing around. We're full steam ahead.
Izzy, if you don't mind sharing with us, I know our audience would be curious about this. What is your relationship like with some of the MMA organizations, bare knuckle, all these different places where some of these fighters may come from? We often, in mixed martial arts, you'll hear a guy go, man, I just can't get a fight. I can't get a fight. And then they'll pop up on one of your cards and we're happy for them because it means they get to be competitive and it means they get a paycheck. But what's your relationship with these organizations and how is it that you're able to get them on the cards? Like, how does that work for you guys?
Well, we have phenomenal relationships with everyone. We're in a white space, guys. We came in and before you know it, we had 40 athletes signed and we had a big stack of money and we were ready to roll, So, I think that is, that's the vision for us is to just, I'm trying to revert back to the question a little bit here, let's go back to that question so I can answer it the right way.
Just how is the relationship with the organization
Yeah, there you
to be
go.
able to get them to
Yeah,
do that?
so when we knew we were growing, we knew that we wanted UFC fighters. We knew we wanted bare knuckle fighters. We knew we wanted these guys to come out of their into our white space, not compete with anyone, and come out and do this. And that's what we've told everyone. We support the UFC. We support bare knuckle. We support UWW, USA Wrestling. Like, we just want to help wrestlers and anybody that wants to wrestle help grow the greatest sport in the world. So our relationships are great. We support every organization and we're kind of in our own lane, which is awesome.
Before even Jon Jones brought up the arthritic hip and all that, had you thought of DC versus Jones? And has that even been a conversation at any point?
All right, so I always start off with these Daniel Cormier conversations with, I love the guy. He's awesome. Tons of respect for him. But they need to beat Jon at some point, right? Daniel Cormier hasn't beat Jon. I don't think he can beat Jon in anything, but he needs to beat him in something. And the next best thing that he's ever able to do was wrestle. So that's always been the shit talk. Oh, you could beat me in a fight, but I'd beat your ass in wrestling type of thing. So anytime, even when I first was telling Hulk Hogan, one day it would be a hell of a dream because Daniel Cormier would actually think he's going to come out here and kill Jon, and Jon will shock him again, and the wrestling world will go crazy. So, yeah, I mean, that's a dream.
Have there been conversations?
Yeah, Jon's cool, man. He's in his own world, you know. He's in a good way. He loves Gable Stevenson. He's down there, you know. He loves his family. So, you know, I don't think it's a priority to put on wrestling shoes, give Daniel Cormier a shot at even coming close to him. You know, I think Jon loves the fact that Cormier lives in his head a little bit. You know what I mean? Or he lives in Cormier's head. You know, I think that, you know, I don't think Jon or DC want to train that hard and put it on the line again. But if they do, they know who to call, baby. Izzy Martinez will answer the call. I'll put on that damn card.
I got one for you. You ready for this one?
I'm ready for them all.
Mike Perry versus Eddie Alvarez.
You know what? Eddie Alvarez is our homie. He goes fishing with Clay Guida a ton. Mike Perry was down at Jackson's. What a good dude. He was fine with me. He was great. I got to work out with him. I don't know what the hell happened, and I'm staying out of it. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to reach out to both of them and see if they want to go in Tampa March 28th.
Because they smacked each other around at Knucklemania 6. I mean, it wasn't like too bad, but they got obviously some heat. Now they have fought in bare knuckles. I suppose they could just do it there again, but at the
you
same
know
time,
what?
if they just want to compete, you know, like let's see them do it under your banner.
Let's bring those eyeballs to the greatest sport in the world, which is wrestling, right? It would be a no-brainer for them to settle their score. Let's go, boys.
Johnny Hendricks. He was a good friend of ours when he lived here in Las Vegas. Obviously a legend in NC2A wrestling. How about him, man? Would you he's a cop now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in North Texas. Would someone like that interest you as well? You know, like what, do you prefer the younger guys or the big names that are a little older?
I'll tell you what. We have an unbelievable team. I have Ben Askren, I have Willie Saylor, and Lance Palmer. I mean, and these guys are wrestling fanatics. Each one of them. Willie's in a space of his own. Statistical numbers. He knows how. So he knows every athlete. He knows what their best moves are. Ben Askren. It's like I work with the best teams. And we're not against anyone coming. Well, to anyone that loves wrestling, wants to put on a show, and has a good following, let's rock and roll. Let's grow this sport so then we can expand. We're expanding into the youth. We're going international. We're getting ready. We're just out in Dubai, Bahrain, Croatia. I mean, the more we grow this sport, the more opportunity it is for all these athletes. I'll take Johnny Hendricks in a heartbeat.
There you go. And MMA fans, just so you know, Clay Guida, Chad Mendez, Benson Henderson, they will also be competing this night. We have Bubba Jenkins, Mohammed Mokayev. This is crazy, man. This is a really, really stacked card down in Tempe, Arizona on the 28th. Go in person and check it out. There's a lot of great energy in these arenas at these events. They've come out of the gate really strong in 2025, carrying it over now into 2026. And if not, watch it on Fox Nation. Again, Henry Cejudo versus Uriah Faber in the main event. Izzy, thank you so much for the time. Is there anything you want to say on the way out that we didn't cover? Or
you know what? It's crazy because when I was before RAF, I was obviously coaching all these fighters. So I used to watch your guys' show, you know, and it's like, oh man, now we're on there talking about RAF. It's like, it's cool. Awesome, guys. You guys keep killing it. You guys do a great job. You know, I appreciate the support. And we're pushing, guys. We're pushing. You know, we got a lot of people that love us and a lot of people that are backing us, and we thank them all. And I really thank you guys for letting us share some of your light and hopefully bring some more people to Real American Freestyle.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, man. Thank you for your time today, and thanks for the kind words.
All right, my guys.
All right, we'll see you.